And we're recording. What's up guys, Human Car Jack here, and today we're going to be talking about my 2017 Forester. So for those of you who have kind of been around the channel for a while now, you know that I have a 2017 Forester XT that I've been modifying. For those of you who are new and haven't checked out the video, go ahead and check out my video. I'm going to put a card on screen right now about the entire build that I've been working on. So one of the most requested videos so far has been what kind of modifications I've done to the car and what I've kind of recommended as like my top mods. So let's start off with what I've done to the car so far. I actually don't remember because it's been so many things, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull out a list here. In the description of all my videos, I do have the entire mod list, so if you guys go ahead and look at the drop down menu, you can see that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and read it off, just in case I missed anything and I didn't actually put it on that list. So as far as the engine and transmission, the first thing we have here is the Mishimoto racing intake. Originally I went with an AEM intake, but then I went ahead and switched it out because it has like a closed box, more efficient design really. We have the TurboXS blow-off valve, or hybrid blow-off valve. So originally had the Boomba bypass valve. So for high horsepower applications, either one of them is really good. The Boomba one is great, but it's not, I mean, honestly, I just wanted like more of the sound of the TurboXS, and I hear that it does just as good of a job, and I like the fact that you can kind of tailor it to exactly how you want to make the type of sound that you want, depending on how many washers you put in there. So depending on how many washers you load up into the blow-off valve, it'll kind of dictate when the valve will open. All right, next off we have the TurboXS top mount intercooler. So this is a pretty cool mod. Definitely keeps the intake manifold temperature down a little bit. So pretty straightforward there. We have a Grimmspeed 3-port boost controller. So honestly, like anytime you are modifying the car or you're doing anything with like the J-pipe or anything that could possibly result in boost creep, a boost controller is always good. So that's definitely one of the top mods that you want to go for. Next one is the Perrin Air Oil Separator. So air oil separators, I think in general, on whether you have an FA motor or an EJ motor, it's pretty much a must. It's going to keep your basically inside of your engine a lot cleaner. It's going, from what I've heard, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it can lessen the amount of carbon deposits that you get in the engine as well. So that's pretty good, and it basically recirculates oil back into the engine. We have the Illuminati TGV and EGR Deletes. Illuminati is like more of like a newer brand, but they've kind of been coming up recently. They've been making a lot of parts for the EJ motor and things like that. Definitely really great company to check out. They were a little bit cheaper at the time when I got them. I think it was like maybe like a year or two when I got the TGV Deletes, but definitely great quality. They've been holding up, so no complaints there. Next we have the Cobb Accessport. This is a must. I mean, that's just a given. If you're going to modify your Subaru, if you're going to do any sort of tune to it, and you want to be able to save certain maps onto that thing, then yeah, so you can switch between them and have all your data there. You can data log, you can get an e-tune, you can do whatever you want with it, so it's pretty cool. The next two I'd say are probably some of the most important ones, at least to me, for my application, because I guess, you know, everybody has a different application for their car, what they're going to be using it for. My car is mostly for daily use, a little bit of, I want to say, like cross-country, like trips and stuff, especially with that trip that we did to Vermont. I was basically driving the car for like 10 to 12 hours straight, so that was pretty cool. Definitely some hard driving involved there, and also for autocross events. So no really, like, I'm not beating the crap out of the car like on the track all the time. I've only done one autocross event and one or two big long trips where we were really pushing the car. But yeah, so the next two mods are the Mishimoto transmission cooler and the Mishimoto oil cooler. So the transmission cooler is a given on this car. Those of you who do own SJ Foresters or have read about them on the forums or anything, know that these cars, the weakest thing about them is the CVT transmission. So Subaru labels this as the high torque CVT, so it does handle a little bit more than, let's say, like a stock Impreza or like a Legacy, or even like more of like a 2.5i Forester. So it can definitely take a little bit more, but I've heard a lot of guys having their transmissions, especially you guys in the comment sections, they'll have their transmission fail by 100,000 miles. Now, nobody really knows how these people are driving or how you guys are driving, whether you're beating on the car or you're not doing your oil changes, or, you know, basically you're not maintaining the car properly. Or a lot of guys that do off-roading, I know, especially if you're going on inclines and steep off-roading, I feel like I've gotten a good idea of what this car can and can't handle and what it likes and doesn't like. So steep uphills definitely is not good. That's another reason why I have the Accessport, to be able to monitor all the numbers, all the knock, basically all the indicators that will indicate that the engine is not happy. I'm always keeping a very close eye on. And then for the Mishimoto Oil Cooler, again, that's more for like performance purposes. I know that especially in the summertime, when I am either driving the car for a long time or I am doing some sort of autocross or anything like that, the temperature does tend to get up to around 200 to like 210 degrees Fahrenheit. So with the oil cooler, while I'm driving, even for prolonged periods and things like that, I've only gotten the temperature up to around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So 30 degrees down is pretty awesome. And the fact that I made it kind of like a makeshift system out of some of the universal parts from Mishimoto really I think is going to pay off and has paid off. It's been a good investment. All right, so I'm pretty sure that concludes the engine and transmission stuff. Let's move on to the exhaust. The exhaust is basically an Invidia N1 3-inch race exhaust. So this is made for the WRX. It's a single exit exhaust. It's pretty inexpensive, but I wanted to get a little bit more loudness out of it. So the N1 comes with a muffler, but if you guys seen my other video, I'll put a card on screen too, you'll see that we chopped off the muffler, we added a V-band, and now we made almost like an interchangeable exhaust system, to where now it's fitted with a 3-inch exhaust from downpipe all the way through, straight piped. And then if I want to switch back to the stock Invidia N1, I basically take off that V-band, put on the muffler from the original setup, and I'm good to go. And like I mentioned, we have an Invidia downpipe. It's Catless. That's another reason why I kind of mentioned before about the boost controller, that you do want to get a boost controller, because when you do have a Catless downpipe, you tend to get a little bit of that boost creep. So this is going to help kind of avoid that. So yeah, and it's louder, so I like it. All right, moving on to the suspension. So for the suspension, we have BC Racing BR Coilovers. I got those used for a really good price. They've been holding up fantastically. I think we've lowered the car about, I don't know, from stock ride height, I want to say maybe like 1.5 inches to 2 inches now. It's a little bit higher than what I want it to be right now, but come summertime, I think I'm gonna lower it another 1/2 inch and maybe get a little bit more camber adjustment going. Yeah, just for more the aesthetic purposes and also for the handling capabilities. Together with that, we have one of the most important ones. We have the Perrin Performance 22mm rear sway bar. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about that, whether you should go 22mm or get the WRX rear sway bar, or even a bigger one. I think Perrin also offers like a 26mm one or 24, something like that, or both. I originally started with the WRX one. I thought it was a really good investment. It was really cheap. I think it was like under $100 or something like that. And I enjoyed that for a while, and then I went ahead and switched to the Perrin one. I keep it on the medium setting because I think it's like, you know, for daily driving, I don't want to have it too aggressive. Basically, the point of the rear sway bar is to add a little bit of oversteer to the car, because Subarus in general tend to have a lot of understeer, where you go into a corner, you know, you turn the wheel and it's not turning as much as you'd like it to, or it doesn't really like to turn as much. Let's say for like a rear wheel compared to like a rear wheel drive car. But yeah, that's going to add a little bit more of a turn in. In the front, we have a Megan Racing 28mm front sway bar. I believe the stock Subaru one is a 26. So this one, I just wanted to upgrade a little bit, and definitely not necessary. But I think, yeah, I just wanted to do it just to kind of balance it out. Since I was upgrading the rear one, I might as well upgrade the front as well. As far as the camber adjustment, we have the Godspeed lower control arms, probably one of the biggest steals I've gotten. As far as price, so these control arms were around, I want to say around $120. I think they're on eBay for $120. They fit, I believe they fit the BRZ and also the WRX, so it's great that it also fits the Forester. Yeah, great price, great quality. I love the red finish on them, and they haven't rusted or anything. Like, it's been actually like pretty top-notch quality, and I have heard of Godspeed before as being a pretty reputable brand. Maybe not so much in the Subaru scene, maybe I think on like Honda or like some of the other JDM cars, but very good so far. So paired together with the rear sway bar, we have the Rallitek front and rear end links, I believe. Oh no, I'm sorry, Rallitek, we have the front end links, And in the rear, we have the Whiteline rear end links with the rear braces as well. As far as what else is in the front, we have the Cusco front strut tower brace. So that's really just, it's just for the engine bay. It just looks dope. I don't think there's really any real performance benefits to it unless you're like really taking some hard turns. So I'm sure that does kind of help with the handling a little bit and like the rigidity of the car. And the last thing as far as the handling, we have the Perrin steering wheel dampener. That was something that basically goes on the steering rack and it allows a tighter turn-in. When I initially put it on, I felt like a tiny bit of a difference. Then again, it's a very cheap mod. It's like, it was only like $70 or $60, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it does make a bit of a difference, not too noticeable, but then again, you don't want to change up, or at least I don't want to change up the handling characteristics of my car too much. The handling, yeah, but not the actual turn-in. So I think for what it was, what I paid for it, I think it was pretty much worth it. Moving on to the wheels and tires. So we recently upgraded to the 2015 STi Wheels. This is an 18 by 8.5 configuration. I love the color. I love the gunmetal. I love the way it kind of matches with the lug nuts that I have as well, the open-ended lug nuts. It's pretty much like poking out, I want to say about maybe like 3/4 of an inch outside of the fender of the car, which is perfect. Originally, you guys saw that I had the Avid One AV20s, the copper ones, or I'm sorry, the gold ones, or bronze, whatever you want to call them. I think they were bronze. Let's call them bronze. Those were an 18 by 9.5, which was great. It was a much wider wheel. This one is 18 by 8.5, but in order to put this wheel onto the Forester has a 5 by 100 stock bolt pattern, and these wheels are a 5 by 114.3. So I had to go ahead and get a spacer / adapter. The spacer was a 20 millimeter, which is about 1 inch. So it does kind of equate to the same size as the Avid wheel, which is perfect because this is exactly the width that I want. And as far as tires, we went with a pretty cheap one. I know that tires are a big component of handling characteristics, and eventually I hope to get some sort of like Michelin tire, like a Pilot Super Sport or something like that. But right now we're rocking the Hankook Ventus S1 Noble 2s. The size is a 245 by 50 by 18. So definitely a little bit wider than stock. Stock comes with a 225. 245 is a pretty good size. I think eventually when we do upgrade to the Michelin tires, we can probably run a 255 configuration. I think we'll have the clearance for it. Now moving on to the brakes and the chassis. Two things that I never showed you guys that I upgraded. I don't know why I never recorded it. I just didn't think it was significant enough. It was very simple to install, but I'm not sure why I didn't really record it. But we have the Torque Solutions Master Cylinder Brace. Basically, when you press on the brake on the car, the firewall tends to flex a little bit. So this basically holds the brake cylinder into place so that there is no flex in the firewall. So it kind of keeps it a little bit more stable. And then we have the Torque Solutions pitch stop mount. That's another thing that kind of goes together with like the flex of the car and like how the firewall moves and stuff. So adds a little bit more rigidity as well. We have upgraded brake pads. I think they're Hawk pads. I don't remember exactly which ones they are, but we have Hawk Performance brake pads. Rotors, the front rotors were from AutoZone. They were, I actually don't remember what they were called. I think they were Duralash GTs. So they look pretty cool. Originally they came black, but as soon as you start braking on them, that color kind of fades away. But it looks really cool. It's slotted, so a little bit better for repelling the heat. So those rotors are pretty cool. As far as the rear ones, we just got some like regular like stock. I honestly don't even know what brand they are. I just know that they fit, and I threw them on, and that was it. And we also upgraded to stainless steel brake lines. That's another video that I didn't show the recording of. I actually installed those with my brother-in-law because I wasn't sure exactly how to do it. That was pretty straightforward too. We just had to make sure that we bled the brakes properly, and we added the right sort of brake fluid. So we went ahead and upgraded to a .4 instead of a .3. I know that .4 is it has very similar properties to the .3, but it does handle a little bit, I think it handles heat a little bit better. So when it does come to summer and track use and autocross and things like that, it does kind of hold up a little bit better. All right, as far as cosmetics, I think there are a couple things that I did leave out here on this list, but I'm going to go ahead and mention. One of the things we have up front is the Perrin license plate relocator kit. Pretty straightforward. I just like the look of it better instead of having that big bulky license plate, kind of like this weird cutout that comes from the dealership up front. So we got rid of that. We have Rally Armor Mudflaps. I think those look great. I think any Subaru should really have them. Yeah, I just think they look dope. We have the Best Racing Motorsports front lip. That thing has cracked since last summer. I went off the edge of a sidewalk and it just I kind of clipped a piece of it off, and I managed to kind of glue it together. That was in one of my videos too, where I was detailing the Forester. So yeah, so I definitely need to get another one. And we also have the Subaru OEM rain guards. I think it's such a clean look. And if you do want to crack the window open a little bit and not allow the rain in, I think it's perfect. Another thing that we have is right here. This is the Subi-Speed. I believe it's OLM. OLM makes them. They're the rear reflector kits, so it basically turns your regular stock reflector into a light, so it becomes a turn signal. It becomes a it works with your hazard button and things like that. So it's sequential too, so we set that up again with my brother-in-law, and I think it looks really dope. I think another couple things I forgot to mention is we also upgraded to a charge pipe, aftermarket charge pipe. Again, I forget the brand. It's kind of like a no-name brand, but it's just basically like, it looks just like a Perrin one. It was just a fraction of the price. Same material, same everything, so we got that. And we have a couple parts on the way, specifically headers. I just went ahead and grabbed a set of Perrin headers. I'm really excited to put those on, so there'll be a video of that soon. So that pretty much concludes what I've done to the car. As far as what I recommend for the best modifications, it's really up to you. It's really up to preference and what you're trying to do with the car. But let's say that we were going for the best mods as far as reliability and performance, a little bit of the best of both worlds. So in no particular order, let's start off with the Perrin rear sway bar. So the same one that I have, I think a 22mm and the medium setting would be perfect. It makes it feel a little bit more sporty with the handling, so I think that would be a perfect first mod. It's very easy to do. You can do it yourself. You don't need to bring it to a shop. Very straightforward. Number two, I'd say if you are looking to get a little bit more power out of like, let's say like a Cobb off-the-shelf map, or you do want to do a bit of a pro tune, second one would be the Cobb Accessport. Again, like I mentioned before, the benefits of it are that you can save tunes onto there, a map. You can basically, more so, I like it because I can monitor everything. Everything is arm's reach away. I can monitor all the data, everything that's happening to my engine. And anytime I see that, like while there is a bit of knock kind of, let's say, accumulating or happening, it's good to know when you should back off when the car is not happy. That's basically the bottom line of that. So Cobb Accessport, a must. Forester, Legacy, whatever the hell you drive, WRX STi, get an Accessport. Number three, we're gonna go with the Perrin Air Oil Separator. I got the Perrin Air Oil Separator. There's a ton of them available for our car. One thing that I didn't know is that the Perrin Air Oil Separator, the stock location that it goes on the Forester doesn't really work out with my setup. So I have a Mishimoto racing intake, and they're kind of both in the same spot. So if you guys seen my video where I kind of tailored the Mishimoto airbox to kind of work around the Perrin Air Oil Separator, it worked out for me because I kind of put in that, I guess that like custom work, let's call it. Again, it's not ideal. It looks pretty clean, but if you don't want to go through that, I'm pretty sure that Crawford makes one that's specific for our cars. So if I had to go back, I would get the Crawford one because it's in a better location. It kind of declutters the area where the air intake is, and I think overall it just looks a lot cleaner. So yeah, probably go with the Crawford one, and I believe IAG makes one as well. All right, number four, we have the Mishimoto transmission cooler. That's definitely a must. If some of you guys are telling me that you're blowing your transmission 100,000 miles on a stock configuration, that's a problem, and definitely need to keep the temperatures down. I will say that I think ever since putting it on, I can't really say how much the temperature has decreased. So basically Cobb never had a way of us seeing like what the temperature is for the CVT until recently. They kind of did an update to it. So I had already installed the transmission cooler, and then they kind of brought that update into the Cobb Accessport. If I had to guess, I don't know, like kind of comparing it to the Mishimoto Oil Cooler, I know it's like not really the same and the fluids are different and everything, but I want to say that maybe it reduced it by 20 to 30 degrees. So I would say that it's worth it. I can't get any like quantifiable data because I never got the chance to do that. But I'd say that it's definitely worth it, and it will prolong the life of your CVT. The last upgrade that I recommend is going to be the Grimmspeed boost controller. I think Cobb also offers one as well, and there might be another company too. So again, like we mentioned before, it does help regulate your boost levels and things like that, prevents boost creep, and overall just keeps the system working a little bit more smooth. So there you have it, guys. That's what I've done to my Forester. I'd love to hear what you guys have done to yours. Give me your opinions. And really the point of this car for me is to make it an overall like do everything kind of car. You can carry a whole bunch of stuff in it. You can take it on rallies if you want to. It handles pretty well for a SUV, even in stock configuration. So, you know, what's not to like? Guys, make sure you subscribe. Go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't already. Give me your feedback in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Peace.